But she's got a good co-partner, Reagan Kraus, getting the ball today. I appreciate this dynamic duo together. I think they are so important and how they're able to complement each other with Kraus being primarily down. So I like that she's getting the ball today in game 2.
And Nyjah Kennedy has not started back-to-back days this season, so we didn't expect that to change today. And Reagan Kraus has really had to step up, the Illinois native, stepping in. And remember, too, I mean, this is a Stanford pitching staff that had a lot of Vaughter last year, and that was really, they had 2 aces with Nyjah Kennedy and Vaughter transferring. So Reagan Kraus, her workload has become even bigger.
But looking at Reagan Kraus and what she's been able to do, she does have a lot of similarities to someone like an Elena Vaughter. She's primarily down in the zone, which I think offsets someone like a Nyjah Kennedy, who has that explosive rise ball.
And Aaliyah Belardi will be the first one to get a look at Reagan Kraus, the second baseman, the senior out of Lakewood, California. Remember, Stanford swept Utah in Palo Alto right here on this field earlier in the season. That was back in March, and Aaliyah Belardi is going to lead off this game with a walk.
And a lot of walks across the board yesterday, Courtney. 29 walks on the day in those 4 games. Like, those are the little things. Those free passes come back to bite you. Reagan Kraus walking that leadoff hitter.
We'll see how used this Utah dugout is. Abby Dayton hits in the 3 spot. 3 for 4 yesterday with a couple of runs scored. We'll see her coming up next after Haley Denning, who has a hit in 21 of her last 24 games. And now she's going to start off here with a runner on thanks to the free pass. You see Ali Kaneshiro coming out to talk to Reagan Kraus. Here's Haley Denning. First pitch coming in for a strike from Kraus. Kraus an all Pac-12 second team selection. Top 10 in strikeouts and wins. Showing bunt, strike 2, so immediately Kraus ahead, 0-2.
Well, and the importance, too, that first inning, Ron Burkhart behind the plate trying to figure out, hey, I'm primarily a down ball pitcher. That's my go-to pitch. Where do I need to locate it? Can I locate it at the knees? Can I get it a little bit lower? Trying to figure out that piece. So you're able to get ahead of hitters. We all know pitchers tend to have a lot more success when they're ahead in the count. Mess around with some other pitches once they get ahead of you, but that's where they tend to be the most successful.
Did it feel different for you when you were ahead in the count? Did you have a different mentality?
Oh, yeah, your toy. You can use all the tools.
Denning just hits that one into foul territory, and Stanford's defense, as good as they are, can't make that play.
It's when you fall behind where you start to, at times, kind of panic a little bit, especially when you're in those tight ball games or the umpire zone can be a little bit smaller. It can kind of take you out of your rhythm a little bit as far as mentally, but that's where you have to turn that piece on and adjust.
Denning fighting in this AB.
And Haley Denning, not a bad average. 0-2, 250 average. That to me means she's in that 2 spot for a reason. She's scrappy. She sees a lot of pitches.
That's a high hopper into the glove of Barry, and it gets away from the Stanford defense, so both runners safe, both runners in scoring position, and Utah ready to make a run here in the semifinals.
And to me, this is just a prime example of Haley Denning being a pest at the plate. She battled a ton of 0-2 pitches, but it's the pressure of the speed up the line. Jade Berry, freshman, a little bit of a wild throw and momentum here going for Utah, and that's when they say speed kills, and that, to me, prime example of Denning using it to her advantage.
Haley Denning, the all-time hits leader. She's going to reach on a throwing error by the third baseman, and that brings us to Abby Dayton, who we told you, hitting .452 to lead Utah. Again, this is a Utes team But coming in, Amy Hogue told us they have the mentality that, we got nothing to lose. This is our tournament. We want to come in and be the only winners of the Pac-12 tournament just in its second year.
And I think that when you go back and look at that championship final last year where Utah faced up against UCLA, they lost 2 of their best players within the first 3 innings. Jimenez hit a ball off her face, foul ball. She was taken out. Hawkes, those bench players came out and were elite last year. And I think they have that confidence for sure with players off the bench. And you need to carry over that type of just championship feel that they got in that tournament last year in Arizona, because that was such an epic run for that team. They rolled through regionals, supers, made it all the way to the Women's College World Series. It was a good run.
Yeah, both of these teams in OKC last year. This one going to be to shallow right. Runner thought about it, but runner will hold as Lim charges in to make the catch. Yeah, this Utah team, they come in hot. They've won 12 of their last 14. Feeling good about themselves. Abby Dayton, of course, the Pac-12 batting champion. Nice bat to have in your lineup. And they had that momentum coming in off of that World Series run, just their 4th Women's College World Series appearance in the NCAA era. Kayla Nelson, the hopper to River Mailer at the shortstop position. She's safe and a run scores. Utah on the board first.
Next up for Utah, number 9.
Kayla Nelson does a good job just poking this to the 5-6 hole. River Mailer with a cannon, no doubt, but just not in time. Run was going to score no matter what.
Now a 11-game hit streak for Kayla Nelson as she is at first. Sophie Hawkes coming up to the plate now for Utah. Still just 1 out and runners on the corners. Again, we started this game with Aaliyah Bellardi drawing the walk. She was able to come home on that RBI single from Nelson.
When we talked to Coach Allister prior to this game even kicking off, just about this tournament, she said, I love that our team's been put in positions where your back's up against the wall. It gives you that prep for postseason and what it feels like.
Checking the runner at third. Denning is okay.
And especially day 1 of a tournament like this. You lose game 1, you're out, so you kind of feel that pressure right out of the gate. And you could tell with Stanford yesterday, they didn't play the way that they normally play, Coach Allister said.
And that's a swing, a miss, and a sit down for Reagan Krause, her first strikeout of the day.
Reagan Krause, nice job on the outer half, using that drop ball, a little bit of elevation on it, but painting corners, and that's what it's about. When you get ahead of hitters, you want to expand that zone a little bit. It's a great job.
So Julia Jimenez now 2 down and 2 on. Kayla Nelson at second after she stole second. Haley Denning at third for Julia Jimenez.
Reagan Krause can continue to get that bottom half of the zone. That last pitch with that drop ball, keep going there. That is a really tough pitch for a hitter to elevate up.
Jimenez is Utah's home run and RBI leader. This one popped out foul, though, to left field. So the count remains a ball and 2 strikes, 2 outs. With 2 in scoring position. The difference in the game right now, an RBI single from Kayla Nelson. Good at-bats to start this game for Utah.
Scrappy. I mean, you look at the amount of pitches so far Reagan Krause has thrown here in the first, that being the 28th. They're making her work. They're seeing a lot of pitches. I go back to that Haley Denning at-bat when she battled 0-2 and put that pressure on the defense. That's what it's going to be about today. The offensive piece. What are the teams that are going to be able to develop something, get it going early? Because I think when you score early, you almost pop the balloon a little bit and that hope in the other team. And Reagan Krause wanting that pitch on the inner half. I'm with you.
The whole Stanford fan section wanted that too. 8th pitch to Jimenez. She went down to get it, lifts it, but it'll be short. Emily Jones underneath it from center. And Utah will leave 2 off.
Giving the nod to the senior, Sarah Ladd. Also coming from that left side, mix as well.
Gotta call time real quick. She ran back to the dugout, I think, to grab the watch. Again, they're allowed to use technology now, one-way technology, to signal in the pitch, as opposed to having to do the armbands with the card and all the numbers. And it feels like a lot.
Well, I know it'd be a lot for me. I was like crisscross, almost like X's and O's, and pitcher pitches. It's just not going to work.
Sarah Ladd, the transfer from Michigan State, you know, she saved the super regional clinching win against South Dakota State last year, helped get them to the Women's College World Series.
Yeah, and she does. She spreads that zone well. She has a good mix of pitches, has that curveball, can go upstairs with that rise, drop, as well as that change. But it's about being able to come in and find that strike zone, be able to pump strikes, utilize that defense. At times, Utah has struggled a little bit defensively, but at this point in the season, you got to go with your best stuff. Trust your D.
Here comes the first strike to your leadoff hitter, Taryn Kern, who's been a big pickup for this Stanford crew. A rare transfer. You don't see that very often, coming from Indiana, where she was the Big Ten Player and Freshman of the Year. But watch out for Emily Jones in that 2 spot, too. Emily Jones, an all Pac-12 first team selection as a sophomore. Three balls and a strike to Kern.
And Taryn Kern tends to hit those left-handed pitchers better. I mean, 302 average against lefties, 290 against righties. At times you see that lefty-lefty matchup where the left-handed hitters tend to struggle a little bit.
But she's going to lead off with a walk, just like Utah did. Now, Utah was able to bring that run around and home for the first run of the game. Can Stanford answer here?
Now batting for Stanford, number 18, Emily Jones.
Here comes Emily Jones, leading hitter for Stanford, 369 on the season. But last 8 games, that number has dropped, just a 153 average. Jessica Allister calling time. Emily Jones, just a sophomore, bigger role this year, 33 starts last season, hit 250, and as we told you, her number's up to 369 this season. Trying to show bunt, that rolls foul. The Stanford program, it looks different. I mean, I know Nyjah Kennedy is back in the circle, but you're seeing a lot more pop in the bat from Stanford. I mean, they've almost doubled their home run total from last season to this season, adding some bigger bats.
And I thought that it was going to improve the amount of runs per game based on the fact that they doubled the home run numbers, but it didn't change by much. Last year they averaged 4.4. This year they're 4.9. So, I mean, it helps because it gives you that little bit of fear factor going into the postseason, right? Like you have more than a couple different players that can pick you yard. A healthy Koch back in the lineup who was hurt last year. Like just being able to add those little players when someone can step in the batter's box and do damage.
This one over to Velarde at second and gets 2. Tags the runner and then makes the play at first. The 28th double play this season for Utah.
Well, and you just look at where Velarde shifted. She's able to go. The runner has to stop. Ellie Eck. Emily Jones does everything she can to get up the line, but
so now nobody on for Ava Gall. And speaking of those big bats, she has brought her big bat in her freshman season. 30 RBI, 9 home runs on the year. This one towards shallow left. Haley Denning wants it. And it's 3 up, 3 down. The Utah defense taking care of the Cardinal first time up. We'll see those.
But trying to go on that same type of run, it's not always how you start a season. It really, to me, is obviously you need to win those games. RPI, strength of schedule, the list goes on. But if you get hot at the right time offensively, a lot of good things can come into postseason.
Yeah, last year, Utah made its 4th Women's College World Series appearance in the NCAA era. The year before that, they were the first team out of the tournament. So what a turnaround for the Utes. And now trying to carry some momentum back into the postseason. Can they build it in the Pac-12 tournament again? Shanti Posse leading off this second. And a Utah team that's dealt with some injuries. They've had hand injuries at third base, at catching. At one point, they had a third-string catcher out there for several weeks.
I don't think I've seen Amy Hogue that excited when we asked her about, is everyone healthy? And she goes, oh, I mean, I could choose anyone.
Yeah.
There's anyone that I could put in the lineup.
Knock on wood. But Shanti Posse is one of those players as she hits into the glove of Jade Perry at third. One of those players that has grown over the season. Just a freshman, took her some time to get comfortable in that shortstop position. But yeah, allowing Amy Hogue to play with her lineup, do whatever she wants. That's a good feeling if you're a head coach.
Well, and a highly touted recruit, Coach Amy Hogue said, one of the best shortstops that we really have been able to recruit. And I think that's pretty special when you can bring in a freshman that just makes that impact right out of the gate.
So here's Chloe Doyle, the catcher today. You know, the bright side, if there is one, of having injuries is that your depth gets experience. So now you look at this roster and you think, okay, well, we're deep if we're Utah. We've got players that have played a lot of games at multiple positions. If somebody's struggling, their teammate can pick them up.
Well, and even just looking at the bottom half here for Utah, I mean, Chloe Doyle, 42 ABs coming into this at-bat. And then you say the same thing for Reese Lee, 37 at-bats. So it just goes to show that that trust is in those players off the bench when need be, and when they kind of started to warm up and heat up at the right time, the trust is there. And you saw it at the Pac-12 tournament last year. Like I said, when Jimenez and Jaquez, both those players went down, I remember looking at Mark Neely, who was my partner at the time, like, dang, Utah's in trouble. And then all of a sudden they brought in these replacements and just made it look like effortless. And I think that to me was the coolest thing that I saw, was how connected that team was and rallying behind their players that had got hurt. And
oh, a good snag in the air by Jade Berry. Didn't even need to make the throw. The hot corner working.
Jade Berry hot this inning. That's back-to-back plays that she's got.
Number 22, Reese Lee.
Reese Lee up next will swing and miss at the first pitch coming from Reagan Krause. Utah got on the board in the first inning thanks to an RBI single from Kayla Nelson. Recently a freshman, just 9 hits on the season.
I just can't help but go back to that conversation with Alistair. She just talked about that pressure piece of what these conference tournaments bring the athlete and just that the emotion that goes through it. And at times, the Pac-12 had never had that. Mind you, this is just the second year of it, but didn't really know the feel of that conference tournament and how well that really can prepare you for the postseason, right? You lose one, you're done. So to kind of feel what those emotions are like can help you out big time heading into the postseason.
12th pitcher of the year. No big deal.
And a huge candidate to me for National Player of the Year, just based on what she's been able to do. And I think you look at the numbers back-to-back years of just owning that ERA. It's kind of unheard of when you have pitchers that are below a .60 ERA on the year. And she has just been lights out, one of the best, I think, that I've ever got to see in this generation of pitchers. I can go back and think of the Lisa Fernandez and Jenny Finches and a little bit older or younger players like the Dallas Escobedos and stuff like that. But to me, she is one of the best that I've ever seen in person.
Reagan Krause getting the start today after Nyjah Kennedy got the win yesterday. This is Ali Kaneshiro leading off. 4, 5, and 6 due up for Stanford. Utah defense was able to turn a double play in the first inning. They went 3 up, 3 down. Kaneshiro out to Reese Lee. Well, this is our first semifinal of the day here at the Pac-12 tournament. We will have, speaking of rivalries, the historic rivalry of Arizona and UCLA. Could it be the last time in the Pac? We might, not see it happen in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll play in the future.
Well, that's what Caitlin Lowe said today. We're still going to find ways to make those series still happen. It's just going to be in February and maybe a little early March. It's going to be different, but at the end of the day, the great teams rise, and no matter what conference you're in, eventually your paths will cross, and I expect nothing less.
Kira Chan hits it right back to Sarah Ladd, 2 down. Could you imagine a midweek UCLA Arizona?
Yeah, I would love to be on the call.
Yeah.
Nick, please send me there. Would love to. But you never want to take out that rivalry just because of what those programs have really done. They've set the standard for college softball and winning those national championships and the iconic players that have really paved the way for these types of teams to be able to enjoy that spotlight, right? So they will play again, we will see it, but it just means a little bit more when that Pac-12 title is still there.
Yeah, the rivalry never going away. Those are the two programs with the most national championships. UCLA and Arizona coming up approximately 10:30 Eastern tonight on ESPN2. Jade Berry up now. 1-1 count coming from Sarah Ladd.
I think Sarah Ladd has really done a good job. She's settled in. She's got some first pitch swinging. Hasn't had to throw a ton of pitches since that first inning a little bit. I think going to that off speed well. And at the end of the day, that's, even though it's not a pitch that maybe you get for a strike, being able to bring that out gets in a hitter's head a little bit.
Yeah, she's really settled in after she walked the lead off to start the game in Taryn Kern, but her defense has backed her up. 2 balls and a strike here. And now a 3-1 count favoring the hitter, Jade Berry. Berry towards the gap. She'll bounce this off the wall. 2 bags This for Barry, a stand-up double. Her 8th of the season.
And a nice job in this count. This is a 3-1 count, and she goes up. This is an elevated curveball in the outer half, and this was a no doubt about it. And this is this is not a hitter's ballpark. It's a pitcher's ballpark all the way. She hits this warning track. Good piece of hitting. Exactly what Stanford needs right now to kind of get that gritty, feisty momentum going, especially down in this game.
Yeah, that's their first hit of the game. They didn't have a hit for the first 4 innings yesterday.
Yet again, that's what Coach Allister says. So we were uncharacteristically not ourselves yesterday. We had really good warm-ups. We had solid BP today. We're getting back in the routine, and those are the little things that you have to remember when you see your name flash up on Selection Show Sunday, right? Like, you can't change who you are because the scene is bigger. You have to stick with the routine and stick with those little things that allow for you to be successful in this sport. Yeah, it's more pressure-filled, no doubt about it, but the one thing you can rely on is those little things in that routine.
Kaylin Koch up at the plate with a runner in scoring position, the tying run at second. Yeah, Jessica Allister told us I've been a huge proponent of having the Pac-12 tournament because it's a taste of elimination softball before the real elimination softball, before the NCAA tournament.
When you get a feel for what that is. So if you don't feel comfortable, start to get comfortable, because this is what it's all about.
Koch lifts it towards Haley Denning, and Stanford will leave a runner in scoring position.
What do you want to do for the Selection Show Sunday? He goes, I know it's your day, so. Yeah. Because it is Mother's Day, but.
Oh, that's true. And you get really anxious, even though you will not be selected.
I do. You can't take the player out of the game, baby. That's always going to be there. I remember the emotions when our name came up, and I liked the result. Our name came up, and I didn't, and I had no control over it. And I kind of feel that way now, so.
Well, both of these teams should hear their name called, along with our 2 other semifinalists, UCLA and Arizona. All 4 of these teams expected to go dancing. Top of the order again, Aaliyah Belardi, who walked to start the game, came around and scored. You know, we're talking to Amy Hogue, and she added a new hitting coach in Courtney Martinez coming in this season, and just being able to build off of what Coach Gasso was able to do last season. What a difference it's made, and a deeper understanding for the hitters with Coach Martinez.
Well, and sometimes you don't know what you're going to get when you go on the run that you did last year, and those hitters were able to perform under pressure the way they did, and then you make that change. You can only hope someone can come in. And
Belardi gets this one past River Mailer, who dove for it. And again, Belardi will reach safely for the 2nd time.
But I think the coolest thing that I had heard from Coach Hogue was just her ability to simplify the exact verbiage that DJ Gasso would use, right? Like hitting, there's a flow that goes with it, but she was able to come in, and these athletes really picked up what she was saying. But the way she could explain it was a deeper understanding of how to make those adjustments, why and what are we doing. And I think that is the most impressive thing.
Denning laying down the bunt. Kraus will run on it, and plenty of time for Haley Denning. 2 on. The top of the order has been fire for Utah. They both reached in the 1st inning, and they've done the same here in the 3rd.
Now batting for Utah, number 16, Abby Dayton.
And the scary thing is that brings you to Abby Dayton, who's the Pac-12 batting champion, hitting .444 in the regular season.
I think about Dayton, and I think about her pop and how they depend on her RBI-wise, power-wise. I mean, 11 of her 27 ribbies have come in the last 18 games. She's been able to step up in some big moments.
Well, get this stat, too. Abby Dayton hitting .452. That's the highest regular season average since a player named Amy Hogue hit .455 in 1994. That would be Utah's head coach right now. Do you think there's any smack talk happening between those two?
No way. Coach Amy Hogue is way too nice.
Yeah. Dayton trying to move the runner. She does her job to in scoring position.
When you have the Pac-12 batting champ that's stepping up at a big moment and sacrificing herself to advance 2 runners into scoring position, that's what it's all about. We know darn well in the postseason it comes down to that timely hitting piece, but if you don't have runners in scoring position, it doesn't mean anything. So when those opportunities are there to advance those runners and bring up your 4-hitter like a Kayla Nelson,
who already has an RBI in this game.
Not a bad average runner in scoring position, 382.
Velarde at third, Denning at second. Nelson's gonna do it again. 1 run across, give Kayla Nelson 2 RBI. And now she's in trouble. Trying to play the Stanford defense, both are safe, and Nelson into scoring position.
This is almost deja vu of Kayla Nelson's first at bat, just going to that 5-6 hole yet again. And I like, even though she got in a little bit of a pickle, it still works. But you see Jade Berry, she's way in, finds a gap through River Mailer. Another run for Utah. Wow, carrying over whatever momentum that they were able to create yesterday. And that big come from behind win against Oregon. You see that transfer over.
Sophie Haka is here, who struck out her first time against Reagan Krause.
And I say this kindly. If I don't see Nigeri Kennedy out there, it is pedal to the metal. Go time, score, score, score. Because she's someone that you know is able to come in and shut an offense down. No doubt about it. So I almost take offense if I'm Utah, knowing that she's not getting the ball. You can say the same thing on the flip side for Stanford with Mariah Lopez and the amount of innings she's logged. She's not getting the ball today, but take that stuff personally. Those are the things in the moment at times that can fuel you up as an athlete. All right, you're not going to throw your stud, Nigeri Kennedy, at us? Then fine, we're going to make you pay for throwing somebody else. And it's not to say that Reagan Krause can't get the job done. She's been someone that has stepped up huge for Stanford and put them in positions to be a top 10 seed. But if you had to ask me who I would prefer to go against, I'd rather go against Reagan Krause than Nigeri Kennedy.
Sure. All day.
All day.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Jaquez. Charging on it is Chan. And the runners hold, so 2 down.
And the one thing I feel like we've been able to see Stanford do today is when there has been a little bit of pressure, they've been able to deal with the adversity that they feel on the base pass. They were able to get out of the inning last time and only gave up that 1 run, and now they get 2 outs with a runner on second and third.
Julia Jimenez at the plate. She is hitting under 100 in her last 11 games. Can she change it here? Oh, that hits her in the foot. That's going to load the bases up. Got her knee?
Got her on the back knee. That one hurt. That one.
3 home runs in her last 7 games. She's on a 10-game hitting streak. Gets jammed on the first pitch, and that's big for Stanford. With the bases loaded, the catch made, and the Stanford Cardinal get out. So Stanford, can they finally strike? They only have 1 hit in this game, and it was a double thanks to Jade Berry in the last inning. But the Stanford offense has been a question the last couple of games. Just 4 hits, 4 for 44. So last 2 games, 0.91 average.
Yeah, that's not going to cut it.
No. But they can change it.
Everything is about that momentum piece, and sometimes it's kind of that one timely hit that gets your team going.
River Mailer will bunt. It bounces over to Julia Jimenez, and the tag applied by Velarde.
This was such a good job by Jimenez at third base, and she's actually back and where this ball's bunted, but it gives her a little bit of momentum up the line. Velarde covers too. I mean, this was bang, bang. Utah's defense on it.
So one away for the number 9 hitter, Caitlin Lim. Will take a swing at the first pitch. Lim's upped her average about 10 points from last season at 58 starts last year. Lad ahead 0-2.
And Lim's looked good her last 5 games. 364 average, has that home run, 3 ribbies. And I like her down at the bottom part of the lineup, right? Someone that can turn the lineup over but has some pop. At times you'll see the 9 spot, those triple threat type hitters. She's got some good pop. Can turn it back over to Taryn Kern, the leadoff spot.
Filthy change got Lim to swing, and the first strikeout by Sarah Ladd.
This is such a good pitch. This changeup, a little bit up in the zone. You see the indecisive swing. But I mean, when I'm looking at Sarah Ladd, she has not thrown more than 5 pitches to the last 8 hitters. So to me, that means Stanford has to step up, scrappier at bats, make a pitcher work. Instead, they're getting themselves out of some different situations, and that really is going to be the biggest test, in my opinion, for Stanford moving forward. And we asked Coach Allister about the experience of the World Series last year and what she felt like they got, but to me, the question mark across the board is this a Stanford team that's going to be able to step up offensively and support the pitchers they have, like a Nyjah Kennedy and a Reagan Krause in the moment?
Now batting for Stanford, number 99, Taryn Kern.
So Taryn Kern back in. She walked to start this game. Top of the order here with 2 outs, nobody on for Stanford. And little pause doesn't affect Sarah Ladd, coming with the heat.
No. And Taryn Kern, 90.4% of the time she's taking that first pitch. I'm going right down Main Street. I know you're not swinging. That's an easy peasy strike for me. And not the best average when she gets to those 0-1 counts. And that to me means if you're taking a first pitch strike 90% of the time, you better be red hot 0-1. And she's batting a 182 average at an 0-1 count. So intentionally fall behinds, but then struggles a little bit when she does fall behind. And we all know when an elite hitters step up there and they're in those hitters counts, that's when they tend to flourish, right? Hey, I know I'm going to get a pitch, something over the plate, a little bit closer in the zone, but at times when you know you're facing pitchers that don't tend to throw a lot of strikes, your time to maximize a pitch isn't a lot. So, and also a hitter to me that is on top of that plate. And sometimes that intimidation factor to a pitcher, like you'll see her step on and she is on top of it. That to me is a highlight to jam you up all day. Zero fear factor for a pitcher to go to the inner half, even though she's trying to say, hey, I don't think you can get it. And I always loved that piece of that chess match, the pitcher, the catcher dynamic, and more importantly, like a hitter trying to get in your head as a pitcher. Can't allow that to happen. Throw it so tight on the inner half that if it hits her, she's in the box, she's going to have to stay.
And for the second time today, Taryn Kern will... All great players. I can't wait to watch that. I will never forget Camila Cardoso hitting her first career 3-pointer to win in the SEC semifinals of the tournament. Don Staley told her to shoot the ball. I toned that down a little bit, is what she actually said, but she did.
And I love that you were on that
P talks, Coach Page talks. And at first it was something that Coach Hogue and the rest of the coaches told Paige, hey, we need you to do this. The players were asking for it. Now, Coach Parker is saying, hey, I think the team needs a CP talk right now. Emily Jones bumps this one out to right, and it's 2 on for Stanford, the tying run at first. Second hit of the game for the Cardinal.
It's a nice job by Emily Jones, just continuing to put on a little bit of extra pressure here with Kern drawing that walk in the leadoff spot. And she's been so good in the 2-hole here for Stanford. Puts Ava Gall in a position to do a little damage.
Gall 0 for 2 yesterday with a walk against Cal in the quarterfinals.
And a freshman to me that's been able to come in and really make an impact that at times last year I felt like Stanford was missing. And I say that respectfully because, you know, Cope went down with the knee injury last year, and she was kind of their big home run power slugger that was able to do some damage that way. So when she went down, that hurt Stanford a little bit. So to get these big-time freshmen like a Jade Berry, who's made such an impact offensively as well as on defense, and Ava Gall, that's been big for them. And when we asked her about it, the only thing Coach Alistair really could say is just, man, I knew they could hit, and they've come in and proven it right from the jump.
They're just hitters.
They're hitters.
And that's what they're doing. 0-2 to Ava Gall. And Stanford is a program, they don't get many transfers. It's rare to see a player like Taryn Kern come in, was able to transfer into Stanford. This is across the board. It's not just softball. Transferring into Stanford, not the easiest thing to do. And so when you come in as a freshman, the goal is going to be to develop you. The old school mentality, right? You're going to go to a school for 4 years, and your freshman year may not be your best. But you're going to develop into that player, and that's what Jessica Alistair and the Stanford program, they want to do.
Well, when we asked her about kind of the transfer portal and Taryn Kern being a big pickup, she says, I mean, we had to get out of our comfort zone with that piece and know that that is a huge part in where the game at times is going. We're still going to obviously recruit these kids from high school. We're not always going to the transfer portal.
2-2 now to Gall.
But if you're not looking in the portal, you're falling behind. Just with how our game is shifting and how many of these dynamic athletes are really entering, you gotta look.
Full count now, the tying run at first. Ava Gall representing the go-ahead run at the plate. Hopper towards second. Bellardi fields it like a pro. Continue to get more looks at Sarah Ladd in the circle.
Yeah, I think we're making some good adjustments. I think we got some others who can make some better adjustments, but you know, we got a real strike zone back there, and we're letting her off the hook just a little bit. So we need to make her come into that real strike zone, and you know, she wants the low outside zone, so we got to be ready to hit it.
Coach, I have to ask, we chatted briefly before this game about just what these types of tournaments bring as far as that pressure piece, right? Knowing you got to win, you lose, you go home, but just kind of what your group is feeling about a tournament like this and what you're liking.
Well, it's the best thing in the world, right? We all want to like play to actually compete. And, you know, we don't play all that many elimination games. And for most of our players, it's been a year since they've played an elimination game. So to get to come out and here, compete for a tournament, I mean, in a tournament, compete for championships and feel all of that adrenaline, it's awesome. It's priceless. It's great.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's so true, though, when she does say that. I mean, you don't really think about it, but when you're going in preseason games, there's not a champion at the end of these preseason games, and you get into conference play, like you go and play a 3-game set, and this kind of brings out a different beast in a team in the sense of kind of dealing with the emotions that come your way when your back's up against the wall. I think that's when you see that fight or flight mentality. Are you ready to rise to the occasion knowing, hey, you're down 2-0 right now, Stanford. You have to find a way to continue to battle back and get in this game knowing you lose, you're losing at home and you're not going to that championship game tomorrow. Gives them that little bit of insight of maybe feeling those uncomfortable nerves to be able to fix heading into postseason.
So it'll be 8, 9, and 1 up for Utah. We start with a pinch hitter in Taylor Jacobs, who's 3 for 7 as a pinch hitter this season. Freshman stepping in from the left side. It gives Utah a 6th left-handed hitter in this lineup. The first 5 batters all hit from the left.
When you're getting back-to-back swing and misses on pitches that are on 2 completely different sides of the plate, one in and that other one up and away, that's when you have to give yourself that little competitive advantage as a pitcher to know, hey, she's kind of not really looking at one pitch or one side of the plate. She's going both, so that kind of gives you free range to spread that zone a little bit.
Strikeout number 3 for Reagan Krause.
And those are just bayou pitches. Those are, unfortunately, Jacobs not even close to those big swings and misses. And I always give the advantage to the pitcher in a pinch hitting situation, right? They've been out there, they're warm, they're understanding the strike zone, and being that pinch hitter is one of the toughest jobs in the world, right? You're coming off the bench, you haven't swung since warm-ups, you want to try to stay engaged throughout the game to be mentally prepared to go in and potentially do your job, but hitting is hard.
You don't say.
That's why I was a pitcher and a hitter, but
I was going to say, you did both.
Yeah, but hitting I didn't care about as much as pitching. Pitching was a different pressure.
I've never seen you not competitive in anything.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong about that.
In your life.
It's tough to be like that competitive at both. I did what I could. But when I think of those types of players, you know, I think of like a Rachel Garcia that at UCLA on both sides of the ball, like, man, the impact that she was able to make on that team. And you just don't see those unicorn type players as much anymore.
Yeah. Reese Lee facing Reagan Krause. That's strike 2.
And you can't say that Utah is not making Reagan Krause work. I mean, that being her 75th pitch, on average, I think under 100 pitches in 7 innings is pretty good. I mean, really good if you can stay in that 70 to 80 pitch range. But to me, it's just those scrappy foul balls and seeing a lot of pitches. And that's really the one thing at times that we just haven't seen from Stanford as much today. On the flip side with Ladd, like, the most pitches that they're really seeing in an at-bat is 5 pitches. So if that tends to happen at times, it's like, hey, I really got to battle. I have to be annoying when I step in the box, find a way to make a pitcher work.
Krause had to work for it, but it's going to be back-to-back strikeouts that puts her at 4 Ks today.
Well, and sometimes when you battle a ton of pitches, that can make a mistake for a pitcher where they tend to throw the ball a little bit more on the plate. But execution by Reagan Krause, perfect corner, great downward movement on the drop ball, executing the outside part of the plate. That's money, and that's what you need to do. When a hitter is going to battle you, you have to find a way to continue to be headstrong, throw great pitches.
Back to the top of the order, Aaliyah Belardi. She's walked and she's singled. Scored twice today. The top of the order has been really strong for Utah, setting the tone here. A 2-0 lead in our semifinal. Winner gets either UCLA or Arizona.
So good. The off speed. Especially in those hitters' counts. Whipping out the changeup, 2-1, knowing a hitter most likely looking for something hard in the zone.
Full count to Velarde. To Chan in left. How your team, specifically your bats, started this game against Stanford.
Yeah, we're doing some of the little things. Get on, move her over, hit her in. We did that a couple of times. We've left some runners, but we've gotten on the board and cracked some eggs, and that's what we're here to do.
Coach, I have to ask, last year winning the first ever Pac-12 conference tournament in the coolest fashion ever, but talk about just trying to carry over whatever momentum you guys felt last year into this tournament, especially that dynamic win yesterday against Oregon, come from behind, but where your team's at and the lessons learned, obviously, from that to this year.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of fun last year, and this is a whole new year. We've got some freshmen in that game right now already, and we're trying to focus on this year. And of recent, we are on a roll. This team is playing loose and having fun, and that's how we win games. So as long as they're doing that, then this is a fun dugout to be in. I'm glad to be a Ute.
Awesome. We saw him shaking the bus pregame. That does look like a lot of fun. Thanks, Coach Ho.
Yep, go Utes.
Little bus rock before the game today is Utah wanting to be the only Pac-12 tournament champion.
I know, only 2.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Are you sad you didn't get to play in a Pac-12 tournament?
I'm sad I didn't get to experience it, but pitching-wise, I probably would have been like, dang it, I'm going to face like UCLA or Arizona again.
Yeah.
It is, because you kind of get to that point in conference play where everyone's going through the trenches, and it is hard, and everyone's beating up on everyone. And conference tournament, it's kind of the same, but it's that single game elimination piece that makes it so fun, where you're tested as a group for where you're really at. So I think I would have loved it, but back in the day when it was almost a one-gun show, maybe not.
Ali Kaneshiro will lead off for Stanford, 4, 5, and 6 up. Stanford has left 3 on. They left 2 on in the last inning. The tying run was at first base for the Cardinal. Kaneshiro, an all Pac-12 third-team selection this year. Remember, last year she was the Rawlings Gold Glove Award catcher. Or the Pac-12 all-defensive team. Helping Stanford get back to the World Series.
Sarah Ladd falling behind here. Remembering the second time through, it's almost when we want to be our sharpest as a pitcher. You can just see simply the difference in the pitch count, right? Sarah Ladd, that being her 52nd or 53rd pitch of the day, excuse me. And then you look at Reagan Krause, where hers is getting up there close to 80. So just goes to show Stanford has not made Sarah Ladd work nearly the same amount that they have done off Reagan Krause. So it's about being able to go in, especially that second time through, right? It's when you want to kind of see, hey, how did I get pitched? What are the adjustments that I need to make as a hitter, and find a way to step in the box and be a tough out?
It's the second time up for Ali Kaneshiro facing Ladd. Reese Lee scooting back in right field. Don't forget, tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2, we'll have the championship game of this Pac-12 tournament, the final Pac-12 tournament. A whopping 2-year history. Started last year, ends this year. It was just that good.
One is sad as it makes you think like, oh, okay, no more Pac-12 tournament. It's more just this conference dissolving and all these different teams going their separate ways. Some to the same conference and some not. And I don't know, when you think of college softball and where it really started out, it was the Pac-10 back in the day. And what they were able to do and really get better top 10 on the map and national championships. And,
Julia Jimenez with the grab in foul territory to retire Kira Chan. Now this Utah team will be moving over to the Big 12 next year. Stanford is going to the ACC. So that's weird.
yeah, just Stanford heading to Florida State.
I see the conference realignment. Things are going to look a lot different next year. UCLA, who we'll see next, going to the Big 10. Arizona going to the Big 12. Jade Berry rolls one to Belardi at second.
Rollover from her freshman year to this year. She is one of the best that I've ever seen do it, and I don't say that lightly. So a lot of fun to watch, that electric rise ball, but to me it's that competitive spirit, and I think she's being brought into this game to get the energy going here for Stanford. They got to get a little good juju here on their side.
They're going to start with 2, 3, and 4 up. The top of the order, the top 4 batters have gone 4 for 7 with 2 RBI for Utah. Nyjah Kennedy, the first Pac-12 pitcher of the year in Stanford history. Andy Denning pulls back, but that's a strike, and it's 0-2 count to Denning.
Well, best rise ball pitcher in the country, in my opinion, but 85% Z whiff on that rise ball, meaning she's getting those swings and misses 85% of the time on pitches outside of the zone. And when I say she's a boss, I mean, to me, she's a front runner for that National Player of the Year with just what she can do. It's crazy, her numbers and her consistency, and I know there's a lot of other great pitchers in the nation you can think that have had kind of the same success with ERAs and stuff, like Carlin Pickens, SEC Pitcher of the Year as well, but she's a front runner for me.
River Mailer makes the toss in time to retire Denning. Are you surprised to see Kennedy enter right now?
Well, I think the reason she's being brought in is to get the energy up. Like, Stanford's got to figure it out here. The innings are starting to go down. They have 9 outs left to really work with to get back in this ball game. And I think sometimes when you can bring a different energy in, I know when I've seen Nyjah Kennedy get some big strikeouts and things like that, she really just pours that energy into her teammates, and maybe that's what they're looking for.
So now we get the Pac-12 Pitcher of the Year against the Pac-12 batting champion in Abby Dayton. Dayton the first with that title at Utah since Hannah Flippen did it in 2017. Hannah Flippen's here somewhere too. She said she was staying for the whole tournament. I saw her earlier.
See her down there.
Oh,
Black
yeah.
hat. Yeah, front row, right, kind of right behind home plate.
No pressure. What's changed for Kennedy from last year, her amazing freshman year, to now in her sophomore season?
I mean, her workload is up in comparison to last year as far as innings pitched. So I think it's more so being able to deal with that kind of piece. And, you know, Coach Ellister said before the game, like, she's as fit as ever. She's ready to go. She can go as long as we need her to. I mean, obviously someone that has some of the best pitches in the game, right? That off-speed pitch, big swing and miss, but it's really gonna come down to continuing to pitch under pressure like she has, knowing at times that your team maybe struggles to get you some runs. And that to me is the biggest thing that I've seen. But as you see the numbers, like, she's already at 165 innings pitched this year, maxed out at 135, and that's going through the World Series. Strikeouts up, ERA down. So it comes down to being able to deal with the pressure pieces that are filled her way. And a perfect example, 2 weeks ago, I was at that Washington-Stanford series, but her ability to make big pitches in big moments. Huskies had bases loaded in the 6th inning, game 1 and game 3, and they could have blown that game open with 1 down and bases loaded twice. And her under pressure, there's nobody like it. Coach Ellister says she fuels in those moments, loves it. And so to me, that's going to be the biggest thing for them moving forward, because teams are going to find a way in the postseason to make her work. And she's going to have to be able to love and continue to love those moments. But I think her team's going to have to find a way to give her some runs.
Yeah, and that's been the struggle. Especially today, Stanford has had chances. As Kayla Nelson, who has 2 RBI in this game, an RBI single in the first and the third innings. But her first look today at Naja Kennedy. She's behind 0-2. Nelson towards left, Chan underneath it. Naja Kennedy has entered the chat, retires the 3 batters that she faces in our
Couple walks, that 1 strikeout, but I was a little shocked that Lopez didn't get the ball today. And then you see the way that Sarah Ladd's been able to come out here and shove it. It's cool to see.
Yeah, Mariah Lopez, we all expected to see her in the circle. She has pitched multiple days in a row for Utah this season, but Ladd getting the nod and has been ready for the challenge, which is facing the #2 seed in this tournament, Stanford, on their home field. A Stanford team that not just won the series against Utah, they swept Utah in the regular season. That has been something, though, that has fueled Amy Hogue's team, facing a team again that they know had their number the first time around.
You know who else stepped up today? Coach Caitlin Lowe with Arizona.
Yeah.
With that series, and there's 11 unanswered runs by UCLA when Arizona was up 7. She's like, man, our team wish we could have played them again tomorrow. So it's kind of those highly anticipated games when you want those revenge on teams.
Now that'll be our second semifinal, UCLA, Arizona. The 2 programs with the most national championships coming up approximately 10:30 Eastern over on ESPN2. 7, 8, 9 due up for Stanford. Kaylin Koch, hopper to Belardi. Okay, the Roughnecks taking the field. River Mailer quickly done. Out to left she goes. Haley Denning there. And the #9 hitter, Caitlin Lim, she's been the only strikeout victim today of Sarah Ladd. She'll get a second chance here.
See where Jimenez is there at 3. All the way in. Coach Amy Hogue came out and told her to scoot all the way up. I mean, let's talk about fearless at the hot corner.
Can we get a mask? Can we put a mask on
Yeah,
her?
especially with Lim on that big swing and miss. But first is back. Jimenez is in.
And Ladd ahead 0-2.
And that kind of just eliminates that bunt, right? Jimenez is now going to be able to back up a little bit more even with the bag, because you know she's not going to try to lay the bunt down to 0-2.
Caitlin Lim entered this game hitting .364 over her last 5 games. Just an easy roller for Belardi to run a Pac-12 player or pitcher of the year
Well, and I didn't explain that Z-whiff right. So 85% of the time, that Z-whiff means swings and misses on pitches in the zone. And I had said out of the zone, and I created the scouting report, so I got to make sure that I say it right. Yep. But that, to me, is the most impressive thing about Nigeria Kennedy, right? Like, at times she'll get those big swings and misses on pitches out, but it's the ones that she's able to get with that low rise or that curve ball at times that are in the kind of in and around the zone is the most important piece, I think, to me, what makes her super successful.
She entered in the last inning. Faced 3, struck out 1. It was Reagan Krause that got the start today for Stanford.
When we asked Coach Alistair about Nyjah and, hey, more innings this year, but has definitely had some help with Reagan Krause, kind of your thought process with it. And she said there's been a lot of times this year where we could have used her in a game 3 to seal a potential deal on the weekend, but we're smart about it. We're looking at the bigger picture of where we're trying to go. Yeah, we want to win. Nyjah's an absolute competitor. She wants the ball every day, no doubt, but I think sometimes you have to be smart with understanding where you want to go and that direction, and making sure we keep people healthy too, right? Not overworking her, because I already kind of felt that vibe a little bit when they played UCLA here. Maybe she looked a little tired, and then she went and did what she did at Washington. I was like, oh, she's in like she's ready to go. Yeah. So, but it's just being smart.
Yeah, Coach Alistair told us we wanted to make the main thing, and that was the main thing is the postseason. Not necessarily the Pac-12 tournament. Yep. We're talking NCAA tournament next week when, this time next week we'll be starting regionals. Can you believe it?
Wow, no. Yeah, a week away.
Now batting for Utah, number 42, Julia
Stanford
Jimenez.
and Utah projected to be in that tournament. Stanford has the opportunity to be a top 8 seed, meaning they could host all the way through super regionals. Here's Julia Jimenez, was hit by a pitch in the 3rd, but that was against Reagan Krause. Kennedy, by the way, her last 9 innings against this Utah team, 0 runs, 5 hits.
Not too shabby.
Jimenez looking for the gap, won't find it, thanks to Chan.
The hard part about a rise ball pitcher is if you want to barrel that pitch up, she consistently throws that rise ball 70 miles an hour with upward spin. So your barrel has to be above the ball. That's tough.
And flame-proof, apparently.
And what?
Flame-proof, apparently.
So at times when you have someone that's throwing 70 plus with upward spin, but the hardest part about it is she doesn't miss much. And I think at times when you think about rise ball pitchers, at times they've gotten hit. I mean, she gave up 1 home run last year. Home runs up a smidge this year. She's given up 5, but she keeps the ball in the ballpark, and that really means that she doesn't miss much with that rise ball, because when you miss, it's down Main Street, and hitters make you pay.
She's ahead 0-2. And the rise ball, too, something she worked on through COVID. She was having trouble getting it, couldn't quite master it, got really frustrated, and her coaches just pushed her, keep going, keep working. She had the time with COVID, figured it out, and that really, really helped her take off. Kennedy will call everybody off, and again, 3 up, 3 down. 3rd inning in a row that Stanford has faced the
Mitters, but it takes those recruits and settling in and getting with the flow of things. And last year it was impressive what they were able to do. And man, they were close. Nyjah Kennedy, so impressive at that World Series and just what she was able to do in the circle. And her team was coming up with some really big clutch hits when they needed to.
Well, they need some clutch hits here. It'll be the top of the order, 1, 2, 3. Taryn Kern, Emily Jones, and Ava Gall. Just 2 hits today for Stanford against Sarah Ladd, the Michigan State transfer. And this Stanford team has not won a game when trailing after 5 innings. They're 0 for 5 this year.
And when you think if there's a time, the time is now. With that leadoff hitter coming up again, that third ups, that's when you want to see your team make an adjustment. She's that spark plug in the leadoff spot.
She's reached her first at 2 plate appearances, both by the walk. To the grass goes Taryn Kern, her first hit of the day, the 3rd time that she's reached.
This is a 1-2 count by Sarah Ladd, but the biggest difference here is this pitch isn't on the inner half. This is over the heart of the plate, but this is the threat of what Taryn Kern does. The fact that she's on top of the plate, pitchers are scared to throw her in. So when they miss over the heart of the plate, and she makes them pay. As a pitcher at a 1-2 count, you have to find a way to bring it in on the corners, in on the hands. If you hit her, you hit her, but I'd rather hit a player than give up that base hit, especially knowing that she's standing on top of the dish. That stuff fires me up, as you can tell.
I can tell.
Because I just feel like
charged the circle.
I feel like when hitters are on top of the plate, it's when I just want to see a pitcher like absolutely hammer down on the inner half and say, hey, I can throw hard. I'll instill a little fear in you if you're going to stand on top of that. And now everyone has this Terminator gear all over their arms and no fear with getting hit. But you want to stand there and you get hit. And it may not hit the arm guard. It's uncomfortable, right? You're just not seeing a lot of pitchers really establish the inner half when hitters are crowding.
You see the Evo shield on the arm of Emily Jones. As Chloe Doyle called time here to go out and talk to her pitcher, Sarah Ladd. The leadoff reached on a single, just the 3rd hit of the day for Stanford. Now 2 balls to Emily Jones.
There it is. It's a good pitch.
Emily Jones has one of the 3 hits in this game. She singled in the 3rd.
It's almost like you're feeling a little bit of momentum shift here to Stanford. You can hear their bench is a lot louder. You can hear their home crowd a little bit more rowdy, especially this 3-1 count.
Strike 2. And that is going inside on Emily Jones.
This is what I'm talking about. This is spotting up the inner half. Sarah Ladd, no fear going in. This is what it's all about. It's when you miss over the heart of the plate, you tend to get in trouble, but at times you hit a good corner. You'll use your defense, and that's what it's all about. Back-to-back jam jobs on the inner half, and being able to do that now opens up that curveball, which is a bread and butter pitch for someone like Sarah Ladd. So back-to-back pitches in on Emily Jones's hands. I'm spreading the zone. I'm going with that curveball away, trying to force up potentially that double play using the left side of my infield.
This will be the 5th full count for Sarah Ladd.
I think a little bit more out, and that's good. I just think it a little bit too much over the plate, elevated a bit. You get that pitch a little bit lower. Emily Jones working 8th pitch of this at-bat. She's scrappy in that 2-hole. We got 2 solid 2-hole hitters in Haley Denning with Utah and Emily Jones here with Stanford.
And Emily Jones fouls it off behind her. This will be the 9th pitch coming.
I had your back.
I saw you.
Baby mama, I got you.
I appreciate that.
Got you. Jeff will have to fend for himself.
Yeah. Our statistician, Jeff Muir. Taryn Kern led off the inning with a single, her first hit of the day. And now Emily Jones getting set for the 9th pitch she has seen. Takes it to Dayton in center. And Kern quickly back to first.
disparity. Ron Burkhart's been calling that lower half part of the zone, that drop ball, that off-speed pitch.
Ava Gall. Denning grabs it, and now 2 down with a runner on for Ali Kaneshiro.
And to me, this is an example of a hitter that, in this moment, I don't want to beat me, right? Leads this team in home runs, 10 home runs on the season. You want to be smart when it comes to understanding the fact that she goes yard, this is a tie ball game. The impressive thing to me about Sarah Ladd, I mean, this is the most innings pitched that she's had since April 7th against Arizona, and she's just cruised and stepped up big for this Utah team. Gives Mariah Lopez a little bit of rest, knowing the amount of innings she's logged this year. And it also gives Ladd that confidence, knowing that if you want to go into the postseason and try to make a run like Utah did, you need 2 arms. You cannot rely on one.
Kaneshiro fouls it off for strike 2. Well, Stanford has struggled with Sarah Ladd today, just 3 hits. Kaneshiro, the tying run at the plate. Reached for it. Underhanded grab by Reese Lee.
Now Washington will be trying to win one for the Big Ten. Whoa. It's weird coming out like that.
Washington, one of those teams that's going to be really interesting to see where they fall on Selection Sunday, because with the loss yesterday here at the Pac-12 tournament to Arizona, I mean, they may have booted themselves out of a hosting spot for regionals.
And I think dropping 2 to Utah last week.
Yes.
Game 3 canceled due to snow, but
8-9-1 due up here for Utah. Chloe Doyle back in. The Utah Utes won the Pac-12 tournament last year in its first year. Now in its second and final year, hoping to be the only Pac-12 tournament champion. They are getting closer and closer to the final. The difference, a couple of RBI singles from Kayla Nelson, one in the first inning and one in the third. Nyjah Kennedy did not get the start today. It was Reagan Krause. Kennedy entered in the 5th. Doyle lifts it. River Mailer underneath it. Utah has not reached since Kennedy entered the game. She's now taking care of the last 7 hitters. Shelby Ortiz will come in to pinch hit in the 9 spot for Utah.
it's funny when you start to do deep dives into 6'4" and look at the stats and all the information that these hitters have. I always like to look at the percentage and average that hitters have on certain pitches. And when you think of Nyjah, you'd think that a rise ball would be the lowest average, 142 average, but it actually is her changeup. 0.052 average hitters have against that pitch, which just goes to show like how deceptive it is to have an off speed, right? Like the last time I've seen an elite level rise ball pitcher in our game was Kelly Barnhill. And you know, the one pitch that she did not have, a changeup. So to be able to have a pitch that offsets your best pitch is what makes her so dominant. She can go a lot more east and west than I think people think with her curveball, with that change. She can throw on the inner half to the righties down in the zone. But the rise ball is a bread and butter pitch. We know it. But I think that for the little ears that are listening, you cannot get away without having some type of an off-speed pitch. And Nigeri Kennedy is the prime example of that, right? Never too late to continue to reinvent yourself and learn something new. That's a pitch she's always had, but I think it's almost gotten sharper and sharper as the season has continued to go on because she's had to lean on it because hitters are going to make an adjustment a little bit on the up. Think about Montana Fouts, didn't really have an off speed. Just those big power pitchers that have that heavy velocity. And another one that I think of that's added one that's changed her game this year. Can you think about it? It's one of your favorite teams.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Carlin Pickens.
Yes.
75 miles an hour she throws with a changeup at 62 miles an hour. But another strikeout here for Nigeri Kennedy. That pitch on the outer half.
That's her third today.
But that was a cool thing to learn with Carlin Pickens, who won actually the SEC Pitcher of the Year. I put these two as the top 2 best pitchers in the country, no doubt. Nigeri Kennedy and Carlin Pickens both throw 70 miles an hour. Carlin Pickens, I've seen her top out at 75 miles an hour, but that change has been the difference maker. And it's not that she never threw it, Coach Weekly said, but it's just the confidence she gained through repetition in the offseason.
Top of the order now, Aaliyah Belardi. And interesting, too, both Tennessee and Stanford. The pitching question is kind of answered. It's the hitting part.
Totally. I thought Tennessee was going to, they won the title outright, but I thought that they were going to win it. And yet again, LSU pulls the absolute upset on them.
High hopper to Jade Berry. And high enough that Aaliyah Belardi is able to get to first. That's exactly what you want to do, hitting that hard dirt. First hit for Utah since the 3rd inning. The first hit off of Nigeri Kennedy.
Now batting for Utah, number 3, Haley Denning.
So then we mentioned the good 2-hole hitters. Haley Denning is one of them. She has reached twice today on an error and a single. This one back into the net. Utah would take any more runs they could get because it will be pressure on for Stanford in the bottom of this inning, trying to extend their Pac-12 tournament run on their home field. And Kennedy ahead 0-2.
And Belardi, definitely some speed in that leadoff spot. Stolen bases, 11 for 12 on the year. And I think that, to me, is the most impressive thing about the top 3 in their lineup. You look at Haley Denning, she's 21 for 27 in stolen bases, and Abby Dayton has 10 on the year, so speed up top the lineup for Utah. But I also think you have to respect someone like a Gold Glover and Kaneshiro behind the dish. And
No kidding.
you don't want to run yourself out of an inning. And the one thing we haven't seen called as much on those replay reviews is those runners leaving early. That's been a thing throughout this whole year. We have not seen it happen in this Pac-12 tournament.
Haley Denning giving one heck of an at-bat against Nigeri Kennedy.
It's the curse of the 2-hitter. They're scrappy today.
Utah's all-time hits leader. Haley Denning, the first with 300 hits in Utah history. And strangely enough, on the road, she's hitting better. She's hitting .443. On the road, playing away from Utah's home field. Just a sliver of that ball to stay alive.
Well, and that's back-to-back pitches from Nigeri Kennedy that are way on the outside part of the plate. And listen, if you're going back-to-back pitches that far, she's leaning and she's going. That, to me, opens up the inner half with that rise ball. Throw an 0-2 pitch underneath her hands. The way Kaneshiro set up, it looks like they may go out again, but
slow roller to Kennedy. and overthrows it. Velarde coming around, trying to go home, and she is tagged at the plate by Kaneshiro.
Sarah Ladd and her performance and what she's been able to do is stellar.
Jonna Schrader is the pinch hitter for Stanford to lead off here. She will bat in Chan's spot in the 5 spot. Stanford 3 hits on the afternoon, and it was a Utah team that came out aggressive at the plate. And Stanford has had some opportunities, but hasn't been able to respond and bring those runners home. They've left 4 on base. Smacks this one to Posse at short, 1 away. May 14th, I believe, is the date, right, where Caitlin Clark makes her debut in the WNBA at the Connecticut Sun. Not that I have it on my calendar. As Jade Berry had a double in the 2nd inning, but was left there.
And you just hear that Utah dugout getting louder and louder here in the 7th inning, especially with 1 down. Gonna give everything they can to Sarah Ladd.
Two.
Right.
Amy Hogue told us they've been loose. Jade Berry will walk. So now the tying run coming to the plate will be a pinch hitter for Stanford. Batting in Kaylin Koch's spot. Guess who? Nyjah Kennedy will step in. She's got a couple of home runs, 1 against Arizona, 1 against Oregon State. 2 of her 3 hits actually this season are home runs. You said you wanted pitchers that hit. Here you go.
Now hitting for Stanford, number 24, Nyjah Kennedy.
Pitcher versus pitcher. This one hops around on Davison, and Kennedy is going to be safe. Hit it hard enough that it took an extra hop, and she represents the tying run at first.
Well, this ball is kind of those slow rollers and just ate Davison up a little bit. Had to, I think, charge it a little bit quicker because it was off the end of the bat, but Nyjah Kennedy with just the speed up the line, knowing that this is going to be a close play. Doing her job, finding a way to get on base, and the performance that she was able to have. I mean, 6.1 innings pitched, only the 3 hits, 0 runs.
So she'll start with River Mailer, the shortstop, in the 8th spot. Just 1 away. Jade Berry reached on the walk. She's at second. Nyjah Kennedy reached on an error, but now she's being pinch ran for by Hayes at first. Mailer's the go-ahead run at the plate. And Chloe Doyle did a good job of stopping that in the dirt to keep the runners from advancing.
Well, and being smart, you see Jade Berry got pretty far off the base. You never want to be that second out there at third. But confident as ever right now. I think you look at that average 0-2. That's a good slew of pitches, that curve, that rise, that change.
Little flat tire for Posse at shortstop. She got her shoe back on, though. It's a ball and a strike to River Mailer. Make it 2.
And just climbing the ladder, I'm going right back to that pitch. You get a big swing and miss like that, you know she's swinging for the fences. You want to try to make Mailer make an adjustment and see it down. I am going right back.
In comes Denning. Runners hold 2 down. So the final hope will be in a pinch hitter in Allie Clements. Stepping in for Stanford, trying to extend their Pac-12 tournament run here on their home field. Don't forget our second semifinal, 10:30 Eastern over on ESPN2. The historic rivalry. The regular season series did not disappoint between these two, UCLA and Arizona. In steps Clements. Her last hit was March 23rd against Utah.
Sometimes I think being able to just come out and kind of give that quick scouting too.
Presenting the go-ahead run, the winning run at the plate for Stanford.
A good hack.
Down to their final strike.
And such a deceptive changeup, right? It almost kind of gives her hard stuff a feel of being that much harder, just because as a hitter, you cannot tell when it's coming out of the hand. Spins it, she hides it really well.
This one gets down in the dirt and past Posse. Bases loaded now for Stanford. The winning run at first.
Well, and Clements does everything that she possibly can do to get on time with this off-speed pitch. It's off the end of the bat, but Posse all the way back. They're going to give that a hit. I think there's nothing that you can do about that based on where the shortstop is standing. It finds dirt, but it's the extra little hop at the end of it. And when that ball is spinning because it's been off the end of the bat, it's going to give it that fierce spin when it hits the dirt, and that's what happens.
Well, now you go to the top of the order with Taryn Kern. And Utah has not forgotten. In Game 2 of the regular season series, Taryn Kern had a walk-off home run against Utah to win the series. A home run here would win it for Stanford and send them to the championship. winning run is at first base right now for Stanford.
And the thing about Ron Burkhart, he's been consistent behind the plate. You know what you're going to get. So good. 2-0 change. Man, down in the zone, tough pitch to hit. As a hitter, you want no part of that. Now it's when she kind of gets in your head a little bit. Is she going to come back with that off speed, or is she going to come at me with that curveball?
Two. Once again, Stanford down to its final strike.
She's going to go for the three-peat. Look at Posse all the way up the middle. 3-2 court.
Pressure cooker.
I'm sitting change. Just based on what you've seen from Lopez, that's been the pitch that she's been able to throw the most consistent since she's been able to come in. See Taryn Kern, 235 average off changeups.
Walked in a run.
It's getting spicy.
The tying run at third now, the winning run at second.
Emily Jones been so good in that 2 spot.
Now batting for Stanford, number 18, Emily Jones.
Last time up, it was against Sarah Ladd, but she had a 9-pitch at bat. Really made Ladd work.
Before that pitch, Coach Amy Hogue came out of the dugout and was kind of grabbing her fist and looking at Mariah Lopez. Let's go, let's go. Big moment, man. This is what it's all about. This is the type of pressure that you feel in these conference tournaments, knowing loser goes home, but different type of pressure at times for the pitcher.
That will put Mariah Lopez ahead, 0-2. So for the third time, Stanford is down to its final strike. The winning run at second.
And one of the things that I highlighted about Lopez, especially in that scouting report, is that .068 average that she has on hitters when she gets 0-2. Gosh, she's tough.
Emily Jones, that's going to be interference. That is going to be runner interference on Shanti Posse, and Utah is
Sarah Ladd and her performance and what she's been able to do is stellar.
Jonna Schrader is the pinch hitter for Stanford to lead off here. She will bat in Chan's spot in the 5 spot. Stanford 3 hits on the afternoon, and it was a Utah team that came out aggressive at the plate. And Stanford has had some opportunities, but hasn't been able to respond and bring those runners home. They've left 4 on base. Smacks this one to Posse at short, 1 away.